broadcasting on the DVC to all points unknown. If you're within the sound of my voice, you're listening to Welcome Home Podcast on the DVC.
Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining us on episode 13 of Welcome Home, a Disney Parks and Vacation Club podcast. I am Tom, and I'm here with Trevor and Damon. Hey, guys. How's it going?
Good. How are you?
Good. You might notice that Trevor's here, and we kind of said last week, that Trevor was going to be on vacation, but there were some things that happened, and some weather-related events that we'll get into in a second here. So we're happy to have Trevor with us, but it's for unfortunate reasons, so that's unfortunate. But Trevor's going to talk a little bit about something that happened, weather-related event, so Trevor's actually with us today.
Yeah, Irma
for
God,
unfortunate reasons.
I think is what people are calling Irma.
What are they calling it?
Irma God, as in like, oh my God.
I had not heard that. I kind of like that.
I've seen that one in a few places. So yeah, it kind of delayed our trip a little bit.
A little bit, and we're gonna get into that in like 1 second because I wanted to talk really, really quickly. I know it's like kind of a bummer to start off on this type of note, but. Wanted to mention just some news really quickly, if you don't mind, Trevor, before we talk.
Yes, absolutely. This is important to me too. Yeah,
yeah, this is a big one. Any Imagineering fan, this is kind of a big one, and somebody needs to go find Bob Gurr and like make sure nothing happens to him because we're losing all the great Imagineers that are legendary. And so if you hadn't heard the news, Ex Atencio, as his name was a legendary Imagineer. He just died.
Yeah.
We were going to say something, Trevor?
No, I'm just, it's
a bummer.
It sucks.
It really sucks. And I mean, he was 98 years old. If you don't know about X, his first name was Xavier, but he went by X. He was personally called by Walt Disney back in 1965 to become part of Imagineering. Had no idea what he was doing. He was an animator that had worked on Pinocchio and Fantasia, and so he got called to be an Imagineer. And you guys have definitely heard his work before. Because he wrote Yo Ho, A Pirate's Life for Me. He wrote Grim Grinning Ghosts. He wrote the scripts to many attractions, including Pirates of the Caribbean, Adventure Through Inner Space, which is an old attraction, and also the Haunted Mansion. He was a Disney legend, and it's a bummer.
Yeah, but I mean, at the same time, it's like his legacy these are some of the strongest attractions in Magic Kingdom, right? So, I mean, I guess. It's good, that we can go and still enjoy his work. But it's sad because I mean, really, he hasn't been doing Imagineering for a long time. But it's just really, it's hard to, see someone who's had that huge of an influence over the parks pass away.
Yeah, for sure, especially with those classic attractions, Halloween coming up, and, I know one of my favorite things around Halloween is we have kids trick-or-treating at our house. We always will play Grim Grinning Ghosts in the background, and it's such a classic,
Yeah, we do that too.
Yeah, I mean, you have to, right? Because it's such a great song, and the music is so great in it. And he has also done some voices at some of the various Disney attractions as well in the past, so just really sad. So anyway...
Yeah, so now that we've got that out of the way, let's talk about something else.
All the sad news,
yeah.
In the way there.
Yeah.
So we'll talk a little bit about, as you guys heard, obviously, if you pay any attention to the news or Disney boards, that Hurricane Irma hit right pretty much as Trevor was going to arrive at Disney World.
Yeah, so this was a huge monkey wrench in our plans. So I guess I'll kind of give a timeline of how this went. So we heard Hurricane Irma was coming. We were watching the National Hurricane Center, and we were really keeping an eye on what the path was. And so by about Monday night before we left, it was getting pretty clear it was going to hit Florida, and we were like, okay, do we go? Do we not go? And then by Tuesday night, it was even more bang on, and it was showing as this is one of the worst hurricanes that Florida, or not Florida, but like down in the Caribbean has had. So by Tuesday night, and this is probably the weirdest thing that's ever happened in my family, is that my wife and I were literally going back and forth between, well, we could go and it might be okay. Like let's fly into the path of a hurricane and try and ride it out. And
that's a strange thing to think about.
Yeah, and in retrospect, just the conversation was really kind of bonkers because so for anyone listening to this, first and foremost, like safety comes above everything else. And I mean, that's for my family, that's for everybody, and especially at Disney. The thing is that when we sat down and really thought about it, we realized if we had chosen to fly down there, we're just another person or another group of people that Disney has to worry about, right? It's another family in a potential crisis situation. So
that's a really good way to think about it. I mean, I think that's very nice. I think a lot of people don't think that way, but you're absolutely right. I mean, especially with something like that going on, it's a great way to think about it.
Yeah, and I mean, that really help us get some perspective on what we were talking about at the time was, it was our vacation. I've been working hard to plan this, and we were really excited. But ultimately, Tuesday night, we pulled the plug. And so we said, no, we can't do this. This is way too dangerous, and we got to reschedule. So then I went into planning overdrive mode. So when I woke up,
replanning all your year of work of planning, you're just got to replan all that in days.
Yeah, right? Actually, it all happened. The majority of it happened over Wednesday. So what I did was I phoned in sick from work, and if anyone from work is listening, I'm sorry, I had to do this. But I phoned in sick, and first thing in the morning, I got on the phone and I started making phone calls. One thing to keep in mind with my trip is that I had kind of a unique situation that our flights were, so we had booked one of our flights with cash, and then two of our flights, we had actually won travel vouchers from a contest in my wife's work. And the problem is that because we had those travel vouchers, rescheduling was actually a lot more difficult because they have a lot of rules and stipulations around them. So we couldn't just say, let's push it out 6 months and we're good. We had a limited time to use these. So I didn't want to lose out on those because that was really, if we didn't use those vouchers, it was going to end up costing us a lot more money to do the same trip. So what I ended up getting was the airline was kind enough to push it out 2 weeks for us. So we got the window pushed 2 weeks, but then we actually had an extra day added on to our trip because we couldn't get a flight on the Saturday like we had originally planned. I ended up getting a flight Friday morning. So we're actually going to be there an extra day. So once I had the flight, then I phoned Disney and I started changing everything. And the first thing that I did was I phoned DVC, of course. So for anyone listening, start with DVC because that's where your accommodations are. And they were really good to work with me. And the other thing to keep...
How long did you have to wait on the phone? Was it a really long wait?
The longest wait I had was an hour and a half. So, and so the way it kind of went down was I started with DVC and I called them and I found out what my options were. This experience actually was a really good run of the reasons why we have hurricane insurance, so Disney has a really good hurricane policy, but also I realized why my use year was so important with this call, because when I called them, I found out that for 2 weeks from when I called, there was nothing available. There's absolutely nothing in DVC that I could get for 2 weeks. And I didn't want to wait list because that was way too risky for the amount of time we were talking about. So we ended up booking this trip coming up. We paid the extra $1,000 for rooms, and we're actually staying at Caribbean Beach for the trip instead of at a DVC resort. But
Damon's favorite resort.
Yeah. So going back to the DVC thing, when I was talking to them, what they told me was because of the hurricane policy, usually when you cancel a trip that close, your points go into holding for 60 days, I think it is. And then if you don't use them in those 60 days, they're gone. You actually lose your points. Because of the hurricane policy, our points didn't go into holding. They actually just went back into our account as per normal. and they were valid until the end of our current use year, which in my case happens to be May 2018 is when this use year was up.
Oh, wow. So you had lots of time to use those points.
Exactly. So this is where when you're planning your trips, you really don't, if you're using points in the current year, you really don't want to be right at the end of your use year. And also having your use year, you know, if it ends September, October, trying to plan something September, October is really risky because of hurricanes, right? Like you don't get time to react and reschedule and all that. So these are good learning experiences to keep in mind for anybody that is booking these kinds of trips, because until I actually saw it in practice, I didn't realize how important it was that my use year happened to be end of May.
Yeah, that makes it really good because you're not in the middle of hurricane season, you know, where this is hurricane season right now, right? So
yeah, exactly.
It made it a little bit easier for you because you can you know wait to spend those points all the way until May. So
yeah, and so the nice thing is that I actually have been able to redo my booking for May, because I do have a trip booked in May. So we're using up some of those points, and then the points that I was going to use in May, I'm going to be banking into the next year, which I can use on the next trip.
Why May again? Was there a reason? It just seems so close to like other new stuff opening. So that's why. So when I initially did the contract, I had talked with my DVC representative, and we explained to him, you know, our plan was we generally would either go September, October, or we would go like February, March, were the prime times that we were planning to go. And so he suggested that we make our use year end in the middle of the summer. So like May, June, July kind of time frame. And the reason, and this is exactly the reason, is that way when we're planning trips, we don't end up in a situation where we're canceling a trip, even though our May trip is actually really close to the end of the use year. We knew that though because of my son's birthday. But in most cases, if something comes up and we have to cancel, it's not, you know, having to use those points within 30 days because our use year is up at the end of September or something like that. And then,
so you really thought through your use year, like, because when I bought, I didn't even think about it. We just got whatever use year we got.
I didn't either.
Yeah. So when I bought, we actually, like, the whole, I think I told you guys, the whole process took place over like a month. And I asked this guy like tons and tons of questions. And yeah, so this was one of the things that came up, was when he mentioned user. I didn't quite understand it at the time, but now that I've experienced this, I realize, yeah, it's a good thing that we have that amount of time to reschedule, because otherwise I would have been losing about 120 points on this trip. So
oh, wow.
I think that I would have agreed with you on canceling. I think the only thing is that the people that did ride it out, while they may have been a drain on the Florida resources, man, did you see some of those wait times? Yeah,
true. I mean, this is the thing is, you know, we probably could have gone, but again, just because it was such a...
coming from outside of the country is also a bigger deal, right?
Yeah, because if we decide to go down there, we're literally in another country. We don't have easy access to anything outside of the resort. And that was the thinking too, is, you know, that's fine. We could have gotten down there. We could have gotten into a hotel room. Would we have actually gotten food and water and all that kind of stuff? Because we literally would have been landing like the night before the hurricane hit. At that point, all the resources, like, I mean, there was nothing available at any local stores or anything like that. So,
but isn't it funny though, because it's Disney and because, you know, everyone loves Disney so much, you do give it a second thought, right? Where like if you had a trip planned to I don't know where, it doesn't really matter, I guess, you probably would have been like, yeah, whatever, you know, cancel that trip. You might not even thought about rescheduling it. You know, Disney is a little something different, which I think is tough too.
Yeah, and especially knowing too that I mean, watching the way they handled this hurricane, they did, like, the difference between Matthew and this one was night and day. Like,
yep.
Yeah. Like,
and my parents were there for Matthew. So I had a little bit, like, for me, like, I had a little bit more of a different feeling about it since my parents kind of rode that one out. But they would have probably said the same thing. You know, you still, regardless, you lose time somewhere, right? And it's not like Disney is $90 a day.
Yeah.
Right? So you're going and it's this and it's that. You know, you lose a day and all of a sudden, you know, the financial aspect of it hits a little bit harder. So I think I would agree with, you know, kind of what you did, even though those lines, though, oh, boy. I'm sure you saw some of them and were like,
oh, yeah.
Oh, man.
You're looking at the app. Yeah, you can get on a Seven Dwarfs Mine Train with a 10-minute wait or 15-minute wait.
and that was the thing is, you know, we could have probably gone and, we could have done a whole bunch of stuff really fast. But ultimately, we would have actually, instead of having an 8-day trip, it would have been closer to like a 5-day trip, which... really
a lot of stuff jammed in.
That's a lot to cram in and also keep in mind, you know, we're on 10-year withdrawal. So.
That's the other thing I was going to say. I think for some of us, you know, we went recently, so for us to go to Pandora and just kind of roll through that and then go over just to Epcot and then be done, it's a different vacation for us because we go every year where, like you said, you're coming off this wait where there's got to be a little bit more planning, that there's got to be a lot of time, things timing-wise have to work, and I would agree, you probably would have missed out on certain stuff, and it's not just about the rides, right? The experience of Disney is the experience of Disney, so 5 to 8 days, whether you get on the same amount of rides or not, it's still a different experience.
And you're absolutely right. It's all about the experience. And sorry, what were you going to say, Tom?
No, I was just going to say, and it was smart of you, too, because there were so many unknowns, you know, like, even if you would have gone down there, who knows, like, if, you know, if the park took a direct hit, you know, maybe there would be more damage than there actually was, and then, you know, your 8-day turned into 5 days, turned into 4 days, or, you know, or you're missing out on certain things because it was damaged, or, you know, or maybe you wouldn't be able to get out, maybe the airport wouldn't have opened, you know, there's so many variables that could have happened, so I think you made the right choice.
Yeah, exactly, and like I said, this was not an easy choice by any means. It was, like Damon said, it was a struggle to get to that point. But then, like I said, once that Wednesday hit and I realized, you know, okay, we're replanning. Once I got the flight locked down and I got the accommodations locked down, I went right back into like finding any available fast passes, finding bookings, and I actually, for what I ended up missing out on, I think I actually did really good for salvaging this. So to give a quick comparison of the things that I originally planned and what we're going to end up doing now, we still have the Halloween party booked. So I was actually able to move my Halloween party tickets from the 10th.
I'm sorry to hear that.
to the 24th. So that's still going to be exactly the same, which is great. We still kept the Star Wars dessert party, which I was lucky because looking at 2 weeks on the Thursday, there was nothing available on the Thursday, but they did have spots still available on the Monday showing. So we still have the Star Wars dessert party.
That's great.
Yeah, and then we still got a booking for the Sci-Fi Dine-In Theater and for Crystal Palace. So
you made out good.
Yeah, I'm pretty happy with that overall. I mean, that's considering what we gave up. Really, the only big things that I'm a little sad we missed out on is that I canceled the Hoop-de-Doo show because I figured we can do that in May. I want to see it, but I was like, you know what? We'll do it next
I guess
trip.
That's the good thing for you too, though, is that you're not looking at another 10-year hiatus. So even though you had to reschedule, because you are going in May, just like you said, okay, there's certain things that you could do next time.
Yeah, and then unfortunately the one thing that we can't do next time is the Moonlight Magic Party, which it really, when I saw some of the posts from it, it really kind of
I felt for you. I was a little upset for you.
I felt the same. Like, I saw all these people posting about like walk-ons to Flight of Passage, and I was like, oh man, Trevor must be dying looking at this stuff.
You know why? Because you're only going to want to be on it once anyway. It's not even that good.
Okay, let's go with that.
Says the only person that thinks that.
Well, so again, actually, so another consolation prize in all this too is when it came to Fast Pass booking. I did actually still get on Seven Dwarfs Mine Train, which I was surprised about. Flights of Passage, forget it. I could not find anything for the week, but I did still manage to get a Fast Pass for Navi River Cruise.
right, so here's the big question then. So what are you going to do? You going to try to rope drop it?
I'm not sure yet. My wife and I have been going back and forth about it, and
ooh, that's interesting.
Yeah, we may try. The only thing is that we're very much aware that, rope dropping, it means you're still effectively waiting like an hour plus. You're just doing it outside.
More than that.
You're doing it outside the park, right?
Well, yeah. Not only that, but unless you're one of those, like I'm going to air quote here, one of those people, unless you're running to the front, you are still going to be an hour. I mean, again, we rope drop the river ride, right? And we were like, okay, so we were on the river ride, let's say for 10 minutes, 20 minutes. What do you think it is, Tom? Just lengthwise. Let's call it 20 minutes, right? Let's call it 20 minutes from start to finish. So rope dropped, 20 minutes, 3-hour line for a Flight of Passage by the time we got out.
Yeah. So
I think rope dropping, if you're there, and like you said, you have to be there at least an hour early, and then you probably still got another hour in line. That would be my guess. You're looking between an hour and a half, 2 hours. Or you do what Tom said, is at night.
Yeah, well, and also on the bright side of this, though, too, fast passing Flight of Passage, I was actually a little bit bummed because the queue line looked so cool. There were so many cool things in the queue line that you just skip right past. You don't get to see any of it, pretty much.
Hey, listen, that's what somebody that says that gets a fast pass. There's nobody that's ever waited in a 3-hour line that says, oh, man, I got to see some really cool stuff, though.
I wouldn't wait in a 3-hour line. I'd wait in maybe an hour line to check all that stuff out. Definitely not 3 hours.
Yeah, and I think that's kind of our criteria here is that we're keeping an eye on it. I mean, I know like this last week, it's been really quiet and it's been pretty easy to get onto. So,
yeah.
I mean, we're going to see how it kind of plays out when we're there. We don't go to Animal Kingdom until the Wednesday, so I'm hoping.
Do you have only one day there?
Right now, we only have one day, but we actually have.
Is it an early opening or a late night or no?
No, it's just a regular day. So we've actually left the last couple of days of our trip just completely open, so we have no idea. We may end up back there again. We may not. So.
Well, in your AP, so you can park hop, you can go anywhere you want.
Exactly. So we're kind of going to decide, or I've seen it quoted on some various YouTube channels, is we're going to let the Disney winds guide us on this trip and see where we end up. So
I like that. I never thought about that.
Yeah.
And again, worst case for you is, let's just say, crazy talk here, you skip Flight of Passage. You'll be there in May.
Yeah, exactly. So,
and they will have died down a little bit by then. One would, hope.
Well, I think once Toy Story opens, it'll maybe.
But you see, Toy Story won't be open by then.
We may.
We don't know. It could.
Well, we said summer though, right? May is still not summer.
May's not really summer. Yeah.
We might get a soft opening. You never know.
You might get a soft opening.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's
and
true.
if you pull strings, you could definitely go in. You got to talk to the right people.
Oh,
I'm gonna get some press passes up in here.
But yeah, I mean, so again, it's not the worst thing in the world that we're missing out on these things, and yeah, like you said, is that we're just kind of going into it with we're gonna just really take our time and enjoy it as much as we can, and whatever we don't see, we're gonna plan for it in May now. So,
Tom, when's your next trip?
Don't know. Okay. I don't know. The wife really wants to do a long weekend at in the beginning of the year. But
you have an annual pass as well?
Not anymore. We've done it before, but we didn't this past year.
How do you do a weekend then? That's brutal on the pockets. Isn't it?
It is brutal in the pockets. So I don't know if that's going to happen.
So we went for 2 days.
Wishful
Again,
thinking.
We're 5, but we went for 2 days. I mean, those tickets even just for 2 days, and they weren't even park hoppers. We're still, is it like $1,200 or something? I don't know. Someone's going to be mad if I said twice. It's either $900 or $1,200. See, I'm covering my bases.
And the DVC discount tickets are only for 5 days too, right?
Yep.
Yeah. So yeah, unless you're going to have an extra long weekend, Tom.
Yeah, this wasn't necessarily my idea. So. No, I would love to go next year, to go next summer. I just don't know if it's going to be in the cards for us.
I have a very, very ingenious thought for my next amount of points. So this will lead us into our listener question, but I want Trevor's thought on this before he leaves. So this is what I was thinking. So we wanted to go for, and again, I know we're going to talk about this later, for our the new food thing. Well, I don't even think it's really new. So the holiday food thing, right?
Yeah.
So this is what I was thinking. If my parents were to, let's say, book a trip, right? Whatever that trip happened to be money-wise, if they were to book over, let's say, we'll use Thanksgiving, around Thanksgiving as kind of the criteria. The points are so high, and the amount of money they would spend is so high. I was wondering if like maybe I could get them to give me like to price out a trip, give me the money that they would have paid for that trip, and then me buy more points. And then use those points, right? So get my use year in there so that I can actually, let's just say I bought 25 points, right? And then to be able to actually use a back year, the current year, and the year in front for, let's say, 75 points based on the amount of money they were putting into the trip, and then like walk away kind of even scale, but I'd all of a sudden have 25 extra points a year.
That's an interesting way to do it. So yeah, what you're saying is, like you've got 25 points right now that you're going to give them, but you're going to charge them kind of the equal.
I'd buy those points. They'd give me the money up front, say, hey, this is what the trip would have cost.
Right.
I'm going to give it to you, and then I'm going to go buy those points.
Oh, okay.
Because when you buy the points right then and there, you usually get the points the previous year. You can usually work that.
And then you can bank
previous
to the
year,
next,
current year. Yeah, so I might be able to sneak 75 points, let's just say, for a trip for them, which would cover them for that time. But then all of a sudden, going forward, I have 25 extra points. And I think the price might be close. We'll have to do the math on that.
Mm-hmm. That's an interesting idea, for sure.
Imagine if you could make a legitimate like plan out of that. Like, hey, no, you guys want to go to Disney? Just give me the money. I'll take care of it. Come out with like thousands of points.
Well, yeah, because you book using your current DVC, so you help them book. But then, you use the money that so they would save money because they're not paying for actual deluxe accommodations. They're paying DVC prices. But then you funnel that money back into expanding your DVC.
Exactly, the DVC empire.
Yeah.
Now that this is recorded, though, I hope they don't listen to the podcast, because then they're going to be...
Yeah, Tom,
no, you mean my parents?
Yeah,
no, I was very upfront with them.
Oh, okay.
I told them, like, hey, listen, this would definitely be beneficial to me, but it still might be beneficial to you as well.
Just edit that part out, Tom.
Oh yeah, I'll just take that part out and post.
Yeah.
So you pretty much got everything that you really wanted, with the exception of the hotel, and of course you're missing the Moonlight Magic too. So
yep, but again, we're still going. We have our annual passes. We have dining reservations. Honestly, I don't think we're going to miss out on much, except for, I really did want to stay at the Polynesian, but I think we may just, go by there and have a look and maybe, stop and eat some Tonga toast and a Dole Whip and just call it good this time. So
that's a good idea.
Yeah.
At least you could get a little bit of the experience, get yourself a Dole Whip, get some Tonga toast, and yeah. I actually had Tonga toast for the first time on my last trip, and I couldn't believe how large the portion was.
It is huge.
I've never had Tonga toast, and I'm really kind of mad about that. And I stayed there.
Yeah, now you have a goal, so...
I have a lot of Disney goals. They all center around food for some reason, though.
Nothing wrong with that.
I feel like every time we do a show, Damon, you get another Disney goal because Trevor and I bring up something you didn't know about.
I like Disney goals. They make it interesting to go and keep tripping there for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Of course. Yeah, because there's always something new, right? So, anything else, Trevor, you want to mention about your trip or about your rescheduling experience or any other special things that kind of happened when you were rescheduling that and, all the things that... Because I think it's good for the people that listen to this, to know if you have to reschedule your trip, due to weather or due to whatever, kind of the situation that you end up running into, when you have to reschedule those things.
So a couple of lessons learned in this is, so Disney's hurricane policy is... It takes effect if your trip is within 7 days of a hurricane warning announcement. So if you're going this time of year or any time during hurricane season, definitely keep an eye on that. And the one thing that I think saved us on this was that I didn't wait until the absolute last minute. One thing that I saw that a lot of people were doing is that they were sitting until the Thursday or the Friday going, my flight comes in on Saturday. Do you guys think I should cancel and whatnot? Do not wait. If you want to get things changed, you need to get in there quick. And also be patient, because from when I started phoning, like every time I had to transfer to a different person at Disney, because I had to talk to multiple people between DVC and then changing my dining reservations, changing my Halloween party reservations. All those were different departments. So every time they had to transfer me somewhere, and it was sometimes, waiting half an hour, 45 minutes or longer to talk to the next person. So you got to be patient, but also, like I said, don't waste time on it, because the further that time goes along as they're leading up to a hurricane, the entire system just absolutely bogs down. So if you wait too long, you're basically stuck, and then you can't do anything until after the hurricane anyway. So
that's a really good tip. I wanted to ask you too, and I meant to ask you this. So you booked Caribbean Beach. You booked with cash, not points.
Correct.
Right?
Yes.
Gotcha. Okay.
Yep.
So I know we kind of said that because they went into holding. So because you can book those resorts with points, but it's usually not a good deal to do that.
Yeah, and the thing is that I honestly didn't even ask, because at that point I just kind of wrote off using my points, and I don't know how much more effort it would have been to convert them to cash and then try and book, because I actually had to move really fast to get my booking at Caribbean Beach, because I actually saw just the one booking there. My wife actually saw it, and I jumped on it, and then by the time I was done booking, there was nothing else available. So
yeah, I'm thinking it's probably going to be busy when you're there, because all these people that rebooked that week to your week, maybe, or some people just canceled altogether. But if you have flexible travel times, then you could, maybe people just delayed it a week. But
well, so that's my question. So how accommodating was, work, your son's school, all those things? Like how did that part work?
So thankfully for both myself and my wife, our work they're very accommodating. For myself, I work in IT, so I don't need to, or scheduling time off is fairly easy, because there's other people there that can backfill. Like I work on a team. Same thing with my wife, is that we just, talk to our bosses, and they were very understanding about, we were just moving it 2 weeks. Same thing with my son's school. And also, again, the fact that we were timing this in September. The reason that we did this is that we wanted to have the minimum impact on his school. So again, they were pretty accommodating with allowing us to shuffle it a couple of weeks.
Yeah, that's really nice, because not every work would be that way.
Yeah. Absolutely.
So, especially, I don't know if things are different in Canada, but in the United States, it's like
it does vary. I mean, it depends on your employer. So
exactly.
Yeah.
Well, I appreciate you sharing all that, Trevor, and you coming on today. And I know Damon and I were both pretty bummed for you that everything happened the way it did. But the good news is, it sounds like you really got most of the things back that you really wanted to do, and you'll still be able to stay at Poly in May. So just have to delay a little bit more, but you'll be heading out here soon, and you won't have to wait too much longer, at least. So
exactly. So
great.
I guess the next thing we should talk about is we did all the planning, but then it was actually kind of interesting watching how everything went with Hurricane Irma this time versus Matthew last year. Like because of course we were very tuned into the news and everything as the hurricane rolled through, and I don't know about you guys, but I was really impressed with how Disney dealt with the situation this time.
Yeah, I actually couldn't believe it. See, and I had heard mostly positive things with Matthew. I think the big complaint was food issues, if I'm remembering correctly.
Food, and the lines to get the food was ridiculous.
The lines to get the food, yeah. And it seemed like they were really smart this time, where they took some of the buffet restaurants and opened, or even they turned, like, I think I read they turned Ohana into a buffet.
Yep.
And a couple other places that they just opened up these buffets, and I guess that probably helped a lot, I would think.
Yeah, and it was a $20 buffet, so I mean, people really couldn't complain about the prices.
Couldn't complain that much.
Yeah, and then also too, I saw a lot of great videos on Facebook and other places of, they had the characters like dancing and doing stuff with the kids, and just generally keeping everybody really in a good mood. Like it just seemed like they were a lot more prepared this time than last time.
Yeah, and I saw pictures of people posting schedules of like all the events they were doing throughout the day, and it was like literally every hour they had something going on in the lobby. Where it was like at this time they have some sort of game they're doing, and then this time they have Disney trivia, and it was just literally jam packed throughout the whole day. I thought they were really clear with the instructions they gave to people, and I also saw that they never lost power or internet, which I thought was pretty impressive.
Yeah. Well, because they have their own infrastructure, right?
Exactly, yeah. Right? So, I don't know. Did you guys see those pictures of like the army of like the cherry picker electrical trucks parked in the Epcot parking lots?
I did. So, again, their lead up to this was they had everything in place. I even saw some pictures of some of the preparation they did in Magic Kingdom, where they put bags over the street lamps so that if anything happened to break the street lamps, you didn't have glass all over Main Street, like
all over the place. Yeah.
Like it was super impressive.
Really well
how
done.
Much work they did.
And one of the cool side effects of it too was they had to take down a whole bunch of like the scrims that were covering some of the things at Hollywood Studios.
Yeah.
So like people got to see like Grand Avenue, which we've talked about on this podcast a couple times, even though that's going to be opening soon. But people got to kind of see what that looks like, and kind of some of the things that were covered up with construction material had to be removed, so you could see the entrance to Star Wars Land and all these things that hadn't been seen yet because of the hurricane. Now all of a sudden you could see, which I thought was kind of cool, kind of a neat side effect of things.
Yeah, and again, for anyone that's wondering, I mean, those scrims have to come down because they're literally giant sails, which...
Yeah, exactly. They have to come down.
Yeah. So yeah, it was a very neat experience, and I'm going to take some time to say this. If there happens to be any cast members listening to our podcast, like, I'm not even there, but seriously, like, thank you for all the work that you did, because... like I said, just watching from where we were and watching how the whole thing was handled, like the cast members did an amazing job. So
yeah, I definitely agree with that. I know we have a couple of cast members that we've heard from that listen to this, and I'm sure the people that were there were very appreciative. But like Trevor said, even from afar, I was pretty appreciative of what they were doing. It was pretty amazing. You really did not see. I swear to you, I don't think I saw one person complain on Facebook, with the exception of the one thing that went viral. I don't know if you saw that one about the woman complaining about not getting daily housekeeping during the hurricane.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, okay. She was complaining about not getting daily housekeeping, and of course, predictably, the comments were pretty rough on her. So,
yeah, let's have some viral perspective.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it seems like they did, from everything I saw, it seems like they did a really great job. And I know some of my relatives in Florida were even considering evacuating to Disney World just because, they're so well known. And some people might not know this too. They're actually certified by the federal government in the United States as like a hurricane safe place.
Yep.
So it's a place where you can feel pretty safe during a hurricane. And now all that being said, there was still some damage at Disney. There was a lot of uprooted trees. Around the resorts, around the parks, especially in some of the areas where there's a lot of trees, of course. Fort Wilderness is, I think, still shut down at this point. Maybe by the time this gets posted, it'll be back open again.
Yep. The other ones too, a lot of the water rides, they're still sorting those out because that's, so like Cali River Rapids, Jungle Cruise, because it's hard to, fish branches out and everything because you don't know what's in the water.
Yeah, and I actually read with Jungle Cruise that the building that they keep the boats in was badly damaged to the point where they couldn't even get the boats out onto the track.
Oh, I didn't know that. Oh, so yeah, that makes sense. So,
and that's just I read that on Facebook, so take that with a grain of salt. That's not anything from Disney. So,
but I mean, when I'm there, I'll definitely have a look. If it's still closed, I mean, obviously, then yeah, there's something substantial there that needs to be fixed. But I'll keep an eye out for that.
Yeah, and all the pictures I've seen, it seemed like a day after everything was cleaned up. I mean, amazing.
Yeah.
Just amazing how quickly they can recover.
Yeah. Oh, so. And one other thing I saw is, I don't know if I'll try and snap some pictures of it if they haven't fixed it by then, but the Pet Cemetery by Haunted Mansion actually took a hit. The whole side of the hill basically came down, and so that whole Pet Cemetery, all the little busts that were in there of the pets were all...
Oh, I didn't see that.
Yeah, they were all knocked over. And strangely, the one thing that was still standing upright at the end of it was there was the little... I think it's wrought iron or something, but it was Mr. Toad from Mr. Toad's Wild Ride was still standing there just like, hey guys, I'm all good.
Mr. Toad lives.
Yeah.
Mr. Toad lives.
Yeah. So, yeah, it's like I said, it'll be interesting seeing how it is 2 weeks out. Like it may just be that everything's back to normal and we don't notice anything, or there might still be little bits and pieces, but I'm expecting that they're going to be, working on these things pretty quick.
I would think so. They move quickly on that stuff. It's I'm sure some of the cast members are still affected. I saw that the famous guy that works at Grand Floridian, whose name's escaping me at the moment, supposedly had his house destroyed.
Yeah,
or something.
Yeah, he lives in assisted living, and the place he lives at was severely damaged. So there's a campaign out to help raise money to help with his accommodations, which is really cool. But
it's really cool, but you also have to be careful too, because you don't know what's legit and what's not, right?
Exactly.
So,
yeah.
I saw a couple people sharing that don't donate to this isn't legit, or
Yeah.
So and this is when the scammers come out, is when things like this happen.
Yeah,
so.
and actually I guess that's another thing too, is for anyone that's wondering, about people in Florida, is the obvious ones to donate to is like Red Cross is always there helping people. But yeah, definitely. Yeah, if you're going to donate, have a look and make sure that it's something legit and not just some guy asking for money.
Yeah, trying to steal money. So
yeah.
So I think that's I think we covered all the hurricane topics. Trevor, thanks for talking about all the stuff you did with your vacation. I think it's useful for the listeners to hear that kind of stuff, because we literally spent like half the whole episode last week talking about your trip, and then we had a couple of people write in, making sure that you were okay. So that was nice, and we appreciate that. Yeah, and so we're going to awkwardly transition into actually a listener email, which is kind of nice. We heard from a listener, and they had a question, and so we wanted to kind of talk about that a little bit. So here's the email, and this is from Laura. So thanks for writing us in, Laura. We appreciate you listening to us. She wrote, "Love the show. I'm a new listener and going back and listening to some older podcasts to fill my brain with all this DVC knowledge that you have." And then there's the smiley face. Have to say that. We're currently under contract for an SSR resale contract. We want to buy a small supplement contract through Disney to get a few extra points, and also the Disney Direct DVC discounts and benefits. What's the best way to purchase this? Same resort, same month. Will that combine the contract or keep them separate? I certainly don't want to jeopardize benefits by tying it to a resale contract. Thoughts? So I thought this was a good question.
Yeah, definitely.
This is a really good question, and I don't know what your thoughts are on this, Damon, but for me, first of all, you're going to buy direct through DVC. You're going to call up DVC, right?
Yep.
So that's how you're going to start off. And so from everything, go ahead. David,
I think the first problem, though, that we run into, right, is few extra points. What is the minimum you can buy with DVC Direct?
It's funny
if you're not adding on, right? Because will she technically be adding on? Like, can you add on to a resale contract?
Yes. And then she can actually gain the benefits. So,
but like how there's a minimum,
yes.
Or you have an add-on. But when you buy resale, can you still do an add-on at DVC?
That's a good question. I believe so. From what I've read, the minimum you can do is 25 points if you're paying cash and 50 points if you're doing financing. So I believe
that is an interesting question, though, right? Because does that only apply? Is that part of the benefit, right? Is that only Disney Direct when you're talking about that, or is that anybody can do that?
I think anybody can do that, as far as I know.
But a new person can't do that.
What's that?
A new person can't do that.
A new person couldn't do
25 points.
No,
that's what I'm saying.
So it'd be an add-on.
Interesting.
Well, because I think you can still do the add-on even though it's resale, because it's still Disney still has to approve the purchase, right? So it's still through kind of sort of.
Where's Nick?
Disney.
Where's Nick when we need him?
I know, right? We need to get Nick Cotton from DVC Resale Market on to talk about this question.
We're going to actually tag him though when we post this, just to make sure that we're getting this right, because he is definitely the person to ask. So if it was me, what would I do? So if I would go same resort, same month. I think I would. I like to make my life easy, right? And that certainly makes my life easy where I'm not worried about banking. See, I guess banking is what would get me, right? When I want to bank points, I don't want to think about banking 25 points at an extra day or time. And again, Laura, I'm coming from a different spot because I've never not gotten to stay where I wanted to stay. Even when we had to waitlist, I was waitlisted for a day. I don't concern myself with that so much. Again, I've also been to pretty much all the resorts, so I'm not worried about having to switch resorts unless, I have to go stay at the Caribbean like Trevor. But other than that, I'm not worried about where I stay. So I would personally probably keep the extra points at the same resort in the same month. That's me. I don't know what Tom would say, though.
So I kind of would have a different idea about that. So for me, I like the idea of having 11-month priority at more than one resort.
But here's the question. So let's just say you go at 100. I'm going to make easy numbers. You have 100 points as your resale, and then 25 points. And your resale is at Saratoga, right? Like just like hers. And then you buy 25 points at the Polynesian, right? Like, is that add-on points? Like, can you buy them somewhere else?
I mean, I believe so. Yeah.
Well, okay.
So they're still Disney. At the end of the day, they're still Disney contracts, right? So they're just not being bought directly through Disney.
Okay, so let's go under that assumption for a minute, and then so you're going to buy 25 points at, let's say, the Polynesian, right? You can't use those resale points when you do your 11th month out booking, can you?
Yeah, you should be able to. Yeah. So as long as you can. I thought you could only use resort privilege.
I thought you could only use the points from that actual resort.
Yes, you're correct. I'm sorry. I misunderstood the question. So, yes, you can only use the points that you buy.
What are you doing with 25 points? Booking a day? I mean, really?
I mean, that's true, yeah. I mean, so the 11-month part, not as much of a priority.
Unless you want to just go, so Laura, unless you want to stay one day wherever else you're booking, or maybe two if you're getting like a studio somewhere on an off month. That's how I look at it. That's why I'd rather have all my points sitting at the same spot. And again, I'm coming from a different spot. That 7-month window is fine for me. I don't. There's nowhere I ever want to go that bad.
Yeah, and I mean, as long as you have flexibility there. I mean, if you're somebody that wants to stay at the same resort every single time you go, which for me, I like to check out all the different resorts. I don't like to stay the same place all the time. I like to go to different places. I would say same use year. I mean, because I can't imagine managing multiple use years. I don't want to have to, again, if I'm banking my points, I don't want to have to think about that twice a year. We almost always miss it every year anyway, trying to bank points. They're always like, I always tell my wife, like, you have 2 days left, right? You got 2 days left. You better bank these points. So I'd rather not have to manage 2 of those. That's me personally. That would be just complicated. I think use year is already a hard thing for a lot of people to just figure out and to,
it definitely
to understand.
Is. And so, even I have trouble sometimes, and we've been doing it for a while. So
yeah, exactly. And that's the thing. If you add another use year in there, and I know people have different opinions on this, but I mean, as far as I'm concerned, I think same use year is probably a good idea. If you can get that.
And here's the other interesting thing that you have to think about is that. The resorts are all, especially when you do 25 points, right? There can be a pretty big fluctuation in how much money we're talking about, can't there?
I mean, yeah, and I mean, I don't know where Laura. She didn't really mention where she was looking to buy besides.
Well, she said the same resort would be Saratoga again, then, right? Or we don't know what else, right?
And I personally, and I'd love to. Nick would have been great to have on for this, but for SSR, it just seems like it's. The contract's pretty far out at this point, right? So I don't. How many years does an SSR contract?
It's not as far out as I wish it was. Right? When I think about my contract,
I guess what I mean is the years left on the contract are not that many at this point compared to other resorts. Like,
correct.
If I were going to do add-on,
that's the way to make me feel worse. Yes, exactly.
Well, if I were going to do add-on at this point, I would do it at like a Copper Creek or wait for the Riviera or But
then again, if we were talking about, this is again another interesting thing to think about, Laura. So. If we're talking that money is an issue at this point, because you're talking about a few extra points. So when someone says to me a few extra points, and I'm definitely in the same boat, right? Money then is an issue because otherwise we'd all be saying, hey, so I want to buy, 300 extra points. It doesn't really matter where I go. That would be a different question altogether. But if we're talking about a money thing, Saratoga is going to be cheaper, especially if you already have points there. So yes, you have to think about the future and your contract will be up sooner. But for, the here and now, I mean, you're going to get more points for your money.
Well, and not only are you going to get more points for your money, but then you're going to get access to the membership benefits, the discounts, the the lounges, the parties, all that fun stuff too. For that, and it seems kind of like Laura is interested in the discounts and the benefits, more than anything, right? So
because otherwise, why would you want points? Yeah, that way.
Well, yeah, why would you buy direct points?
I don't know. And again, I'm a different beast. While Nick may have talked me into thinking about resale, we'd have to bring him on again to have him close that deal for me because
I want to hear him sell that to you on the podcast.
Listen, that would be great. Like if we could do the contract right then and there. Yep, shoot me over the paperwork. Let's look for one right now, Nick. I'm still thinking about the Riviera as my next purchase, though, as we talked about previously.
But I would never buy point value though,
and that's fine. But I'm not going to be looking to purchase 25 points at that point, right? I'm probably going to go for 100 or something, larger than that.
Yeah, and I mean that's a good place to buy into for to be right by Hollywood.
It doesn't even while they are expensive, you're still always going to make your money back if you're a Disney person, right? Like if you go and continue to go to Disney, like even though yes, Riviera is going to be more expensive than other places, I don't think it's going to be a bad investment regardless.
Well, and that's if you look at, I saw somebody the other day post on one of the Facebook groups, DVC is just a glorified timeshare, and all timeshares are a waste of money, and that's just not true with DVC. It could be true with a lot of timeshares, but DVCs really hold their value quite a bit.
They do, and again, because I think and again, this is just not a knock on Disney, but because the prices go up so dramatically for the hotels over that same time span, where a Marriott or might not go up proportionally as much. So I think they're a better value than, let's say, the people that get the Marriott timeshares, just because the rooms just become so expensive. And a lot of places don't have those windows where, again, Thanksgiving will be, expensive. Maybe Christmas will be expensive, and maybe a few other times of the year, 4th of July or something. But outside of that, your prices pretty much remain static at, let's say, a Marriott. So, Disney has sold me. They don't have to sell me twice. They might sell me twice, right? I don't know.
Well, yeah, they're going to sell. You're going to sell you again, but maybe it's going to be Nick as opposed to. And by the way, those of you that don't know who we're talking about Nick Cotton, who's one of the owners of DVC Resale, and he was on one of our early podcast episodes, so you can actually go back and listen to that one. I think it was episode 4, I want to say. But I could be wrong.
Okay, we'll get an email if not.
Someone will correct us, I'm sure.
Exactly. Well, I'm sure someone's going to correct this whole situation we just talked about, because we could just be wrong.
I mean, we could be completely wrong, and we probably are. But no, I so just Laura, for us, the best way to purchase it, call DVC, find out what's available, because we're talking about this is all fine and good, but there might not be a contract available for the same month that you have. I've heard of, I think the only one that's really out there right now is Copper Creek. I think Poly sold out completely, I believe.
Yeah, but So is Poly sold out already?
I thought I read that they were sold out, but okay. I could be wrong about that. I thought I read that the other day.
I wouldn't mind Copper Creek, or you could just wait for Riviera.
I mean,
be like the cool kids. That's what I'm going to do.
I love Copper Creek. I mean, Wilderness Lodge is one of my favorite.
I do
resorts.
like Wilderness. Yep.
Yeah, it's such a great place, and I would absolutely. I think the next time we buy in, it will definitely be a Copper Creek or Boulder Ridge. I mean, we might buy in at Boulder Ridge too.
True.
For those that don't know the difference, by the way, because I saw this pop up too, Boulder Ridge is actually a separate building from the main Wilderness Lodge. It's kind of off by itself, and it was the original, not the original, DVC resort, but the original one for that resort. And what they did with Copper Creek is they kind of just took over half of Wilderness Lodge and just tore down the rooms and made them into DVC rooms. So that's kind of just to explain to you guys what that's all about. So yeah, so I mean, Laura, I think it's a great question, and I hope this has helped you out a little bit,
or
unless we're completely wrong.
Not.
Yeah, or confuse you more. But that's a really, really good question, and I would give DVC a call and talk to them about it, see what's available, see if you can get the same use year, because I do think that's ideal, and I think Damon feels the same way, and and get the same resort if you want to, or if you're going to buy a larger contract, maybe try to get another resort so you would get that priority. But I think it's a great question, and we really, really appreciate you writing in and asking us about it, Laura. So thank you for that. And thank you for listening. So, and any of you that do have questions, please feel free to email us. We do try to answer these on the show if we get a question that we find particularly interesting. So thank you for that, Laura. Appreciate it so much. So anything else you want to add on that, Damon, before we...
No, I'm ready to talk about the Halloween parties.
Yeah, I'm actually psyched about this, and I can't even go. So I think it's really kind of cool, and I'm really kind of annoyed that I can't be there for Halloween.
But wait, is this something different? What is this?
Yeah, so this is different this is specific for DVC. This is, and it's separate from Mickey's Not So Scary Halloween Party. So,
but where is it?
It's at Magic Kingdom and also at Disneyland.
Hey, we don't care about Disneyland. Trevor's gone. Who cares about Disneyland?
We don't care about Disneyland. But it is there. So, and I actually, these are pretty cool.
Wait, so this is just
DVC.
Just DVC, and is it just on the 31st?
Yes, so it's just on the 31st. So it's not like when they do the Christmas parties where they have a bunch of dates where you can go, but these are just on the 31st. And so what this is, members and their guests can dress as their favorite character. They can there's a DJ dance party. There's carnival games with prizes, face painters, character photo that you get along with it. There's Halloween desserts. There's treats. There's non-alcoholic beverages. There is a cost for this one as opposed to some of the other ones of $25 per person, but I think that's pretty reasonable personally.
And it's 2 hours.
Yeah, it's a couple hours. Yeah, so it is a 2-hour thing. So it's a so at Disneyland, it's going to be a Haunted Mansion theme party, which gosh, I would love to go to. That would be so cool. And it's going to be October 31st, obviously on Halloween, from 3 p.m. to 5 p.m. at the Grand Californian. At Disney World, they're actually doing 2 parties. So they're doing one from 3 to 5 p.m. and one from 7 to 9 p.m. And that's actually at the Contemporary. And so, and basically, it's a pirate themed.
You need tickets for this?
Yeah, so you do have to book it ahead of time by calling DVC. So
Okay.
and you have to pay $25 for it. But
gotcha. That's not bad though. $25.
It's not really not bad.
It really is not bad.
And you seem like you got a lot for that $25 too. I mean, it's not like it's just food. You know,
Yeah.
it's like there's prizes.
I'd be okay. You know me. I'd be okay with $25 if it was just desserts. To be honest with you.
Well, I would be too. Frankly, I mean, I'd probably be okay with that too. Especially, I mean, I'm sure they're going to go out.
First of all, the face painters
parties.
are going to probably be legit, right? Like we're not talking about some carnival face painters, right? I think we're going to have some legit face painters here.
Yeah, and that's exactly right. Right. So there's going to be good face painters. Then you actually get a printed photo with a character too, which. You know, if you just buy one photo at Disney, I don't even know how much that costs anymore, but it's a lot.
I want to say it's like between like $15 and $25. I think it's somewhere in that range.
So I mean, it's right there. I mean, you know, for as far as costs go, and I know at first when I looked at it, I was like, okay, this is a cool free event. There's a lot of stuff for that. I didn't realize there was a cost until I saw later that there's 25. But even at 25,
I'm
I was
okay
like,
with that though.
25's not bad for all they're giving you. I mean. It seems like a really cool event. And so they announced these pretty recently. And, you know, I really wish I could go to it. But unfortunately, I won't be there for Halloween. So.
I'll be on a cruise. I'll be on a Disney cruise, which they're having Halloween on the 30th instead of the 31st. Riddle me that. I don't understand that.
Why are they doing that?
I don't know. Because Pirate Night is the 31st. It's just the way
they could have moved Pirate Night to a different night.
How about move Pirate Night to the 30th and Halloween to Halloween?
Well, you know, I don't know but if this happens in your neighborhood, but like there used to be, I've heard in some other places that they will go trick-or-treating on like a designated night that's not Halloween.
Yeah, they don't do that in my neighborhood, but I've heard
they don't do that in my neighborhood either. But I know back in my mom's in New Jersey that she was like, oh yeah, Halloween's tonight. I'm like, what do you mean Halloween's tonight? It's like the 29th.
They did that as well. So in New Jersey, must be a New Jersey thing. They would lock it up on a weekend instead of a school night.
Yeah, exactly. You make it on the weekend. But I get that sort of, but I also
Halloween's still Halloween.
Halloween is the 31st, man.
So I don't know how Disney does that on a cruise. We're a little weirded out out about that, but
I'm assuming they're going to have like trick-or-treating and stuff, right? I mean,
no, there's not. No? I think that there's like maybe some trick-or-treating in the the main area, the atrium, but I think then other guests have decided that they're going to do another trick-or-treating. I don't know. I'm not involved in that. I have my costume set up. I have enough effort and thought going into my costumes that I don't really care about free candy when I'm on a cruise that has, in theory, is unlimited food.
Yeah,
I'm not worried about a Kit Kat when I can go get ice cream at the end of the day.
That's a fair point.
Yeah.
Are they doing like a party or anything?
So there is a big Halloween party, correct, is on the 30th, and then Pirate Night will be on the 31st.
Okay, so they're doing something.
They are. That's the reason why we're actually going. Again, our friends had booked this trip, and we're tagging along as we normally do. And, they want to do Halloween, so, okay, we'll do Halloween. Because, again, I wasn't a fan of it at the park, so I'll definitely try it on the high seas.
Has your cruise gotten affected at all by the hurricane? Because I know
ours is in end of October.
I know, but I saw some of the port of calls. That
we're west anyway.
Oh, okay, so you're doing west. Okay, so you're not doing any of the ports that were going to be that have been affected.
No, and we're kind of a stay in the ship sort of people.
So, okay, so you don't venture out anyway.
Not all that often. I mean, I have kids to wrangle and things like that, and keep safe at the end of the day, right? So we'll have a whole discussion about my cruise as we get closer. But
I'm actually looking forward to that because I know I haven't done one of the cruises. I've always wanted to, so I'm very curious to hear about which ship are you on too. I'd love to know.
Okay, so whichever one I'm on, I think I'm on the Fantasy this time. Okay, but I've been on the other one too.
Okay, you've been on one of the other ones.
Dream.
Too. Okay.
Yeah, I've been on the two new ones.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Yeah, sorry, we're talking about cruises now. That we went off on like a tangent, but no, but it's good. It's interesting to talk about the cruises and kind of some of the things.
Well, I'm ready to like kind of like hop quickly over the next one because my favorite one's coming up after that.
It's an interesting topic, right? So, and actually, this was a pretty controversial one, to be honest. People were kind of outraged when this one happened.
What, the after hours?
When they originally brought
it, that's right, because of the money associated with it.
Exactly. When they originally released this, people were pretty mad about it. So for those that haven't heard, Disney After Hours is back. They have put new dates out for it. And if you don't know what Disney After Hours is, it is a premium event that basically gives you 3 hours after the park closes of just the people that paid for this event. So the park closes, then you've got 3 hours to theoretically walk on pretty much any ride you want to. And so this is happening early in the year. January 19th, 26th, 30th, February 8th and 15th, and March 1st and 8th are the dates that they just released. And it is $119
when was
per
the
person
last
plus
one?
tax. The last one?
Yeah, when did they end that?
They had some this
Trevor
year.
When we need him?
I know. I don't. Hold on.
Well, because I guess what I'm getting at is that by bringing it back, does this mean that this is something that we're going to see with regularity now?
That's a good question because I kind of felt like when they canceled it, when they didn't book any more nights, I thought maybe they gave up on it. But okay, so here you go. I got the dates from 2017. They were the 20th, 27th of January, February 2nd, 9th, 16th, March 2nd, and 9th. So it looks like they actually added more this year.
Oh, so that was it though. It was only in January, February, March last year as well.
Yeah, in 2017. Yep.
Okay, so we're not going to see anything. It doesn't look like we're going to see something that's across the board here for other months as well.
Yeah, and I'm getting.
Where is it? It's not at every park, right?
No, just at Magic Kingdom. And so I'm assuming part of the reason why they're doing it during the first 3 months of the year is those times are usually pretty dead.
Okay.
At Disney, I was slower anyway. It's not completely dead, obviously, but slower for sure.
So because it's just at Magic Kingdom, like, really, what are we talking about? So, yes, we get ice cream, beverages, and popcorn, but what else do we really get? Dwarf Mine Ride? Like,
walk on,
walk on to what, though?
Pretty much every ride. So it doesn't seem like they keep anything closed at Magic Kingdom for this event.
But what is that ride that I'm really waiting for anyway?
If you're a big, like, Peter Pan's Flight,
Yeah, that one is. You're right. That little area does get quite packed.
I
forget about that.
That one every day has like an hour wait. At
least
if you're like me and
Winnie the
love
Pooh.
Winnie the Pooh, yeah, Winnie the Pooh can get long. Space Mountain, right? Space Mountain gets an hour wait plus every day. If you're a big Thunder Mountain fan like I am, and I didn't mean to say Big Thunder, I meant big Thunder Mountain fan. I would go on that ride 10 times in a row. I just love that ride. So for that, it would be good for that. I personally would not pay $120 for 3 hours. That just seems like a lot for me.
Ice cream, beverages, and popcorn.
Yeah, but how much is a Mickey bar? $6?
Okay, and a soda. Okay, and popcorn. Man, you could be at it might be down to $90 already.
Yeah, I like this math. We tried to do this math with that with not the Avatar, but the Animal Kingdom one.
Yes. You like my math? I round up.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't know. Again, I go often. So if you were to tell me that I was the person flying in from the UK during those times, and I was only pulling a Trevor and coming once every 10 years, I might do it. Right? That's the thing. If I'm only coming once every couple years or 10 years or whatever the case may be, I might do it.
Well, and I kind of feel like this event, like I have the same feelings about this event like I do the other premium events where it's like, okay, yeah, I would probably do it once, maybe once, but probably not. I say that, but I've done 3 different dessert parties that I paid for. So, and they were all for special occasions though. So it wasn't like it was just kind of out of the blue. I decided to do a dessert party. They were, for a birthday, anniversary, that type of stuff. So,
well, probably not on your specific birthday or anniversary. But.
Of course, it never is.
It never is.
It never is. Of course.
So we have to talk about what I want to talk about. See, I have little things I pick out of each show that I really want to talk about.
Yeah, go ahead.
And so that's the next topic here, which is the holidays at Disney. Man, I kind of feel like I would skip over the first one, but Tom won't let me. So I'm gonna have to let Tom lead that one. It's a show. You know how I feel about shows.
Well, it's not. It's a projection show. So
yeah.
In Disney, so basically, but I want to ask you before we get onto that. Would you do this event or no? The Disney After Hours? Would you? Is that something you would?
I
do?
don't need to, right? So
yeah,
that's the thing for me is that I don't need to. So again, being a different person in a different situation, I'm not adverse to this, but I don't need to.
Well, I almost feel like for DVC members too, this is not like. I don't know. I feel like it's not geared toward a DVC member, somebody who could go, multiple times a year, or is maybe AP, or
True.
Like why would you do that when you could just go anytime? I don't know. But anyway, I just wanted to say that. So first thing, just kind of some odds and ends here, but holidays at Disney. So they've announced a couple.
They are not odds and ends. When we start talking about food, that is not an odds and ends. But go ahead.
Hey, I am with you. You know what we need to do? We need to get somebody from the Disney food blog on this podcast.
That's
because
a good call.
Those people they eat every single thing in those parks, and I salivate reading the Disney Parks blog.
Yes.
I mean, not Disney Parks blog, the Disney food blog.
That's next on our list. All right, if someone's listening.
Let's get them on that, because those people, they eat all the food, and no, I'm with you though. But food aside, there's a new
talk
holiday
about the projection show. I'll snooze out for a second.
So they've announced a new holiday show at Hollywood Studios. I've noticed they've been announcing a lot of things like this at Hollywood Studios, obviously because there is a kind of a lack of attractions at the moment there.
That is true.
Yeah. And that's understandable. I mean, I think most people show up to Hollywood Studios understanding that it's going through a massive overhaul at the moment. So, so they're adding kind of some of these little things here and there to kind of help with that. So this is a projection show that'll be actually on Sunset Boulevard. If you don't know where Sunset Boulevard is, I'm using a term that you don't know. When you get into the park and you make that right to go to Tower of Terror and Rock and Roller Coaster, that's Sunset Boulevard down that way. And so it's going to be actually projected on the Tower of Terror as well, which I thought to myself, I was like, how are they going to make the creepy Tower of Terror look like all Christmassy and stuff? Like, how is that not going to clash? But
I'm sure they'll pull it off.
I'm sure they will.
I don't worry about stuff like that. They're pretty good at that.
They're pretty good at that. And I mean, they managed to make the Chinese theater and at the front of the park, a movie screen, and you don't even really notice it. So I don't worry about that either. But so there's going to be character moments in this. So there's Toy Story characters, Muppets, Frozen, Minnie and Mickey, those types of things. So it's going to be a kind of a fun show. But that's they're also bringing back the gosh, why am I blanking on the name of it? The Jingle Bam show. You know what I'm talking about?
You're talking about a show, right?
Yeah.
You think I'm going to remember about
Where's Trevor when I need him?
Exactly.
We actually lost, for those of you that are wondering, we lost Trevor a little early today, so that's why he hasn't said anything. He's okay. He just had to drop off. So it's Jingle Bell, Jingle Bam. Sorry, my fault. So I believe that's coming back as well, and that's a projection show on the Chinese theater right there. So that's something else that's going on. But go ahead, Damon. Talk about your Epcot International Festival. I want to hear all
I don't even know about it. So I read something and I got excited. That's what I was kind of waiting for you guys to, let me know more about it. But
right.
I guess
cool.
There's new food, right? Our big thing is we're going to try to hit every holiday at the parks. And
that's the way to do it.
My wife had a very bad experience at Christmas when she was younger at the parks. She went and she, was with her dad and her sister, and they both got the flu. And she was like, it's just, again, she's probably going to listen to this, so I can't say too much. But that being said, so she had a very poor experience at Disney. She was like, 12 or 13, walking around the parks by herself. Okay. So she's kind of been like, I have no interest in going to Disney over Christmas, where I'm like, oh my goodness, I'm going to do every single holiday we possibly can at Disney. So I think I may have brought her in with the fact that there's food, right? Because everyone loves food. So I guess Epcot is doing the replacing holidays around the world, which I don't even know what that is. I love these things because I don't know anything about this.
You learn all sorts.
I learn all sorts. I'm the common man in this. And
people appreciate that you're the common man.
I hope so.
We get reviews about that all the time, that they appreciate that. So
anyway, is this going to be? I think the big thing is that they're not taking down the wine and food buildings, right? Isn't that like kind of the big thing?
Kind of. It's almost in a weird way like an extension of Food and Wine.
Yes.
For like another couple.
Which have you been to?
I have never been to. I've always wanted to.
All right,
go.
it's awesome.
Man, I want to go so bad.
So good.
The whole point, like my wife and I we love the most about the parks is, besides the rides and everything, is the food.
You only go on half the rides
2.
anyway, so
I know, yeah, I know.
But that's okay because I only eat half the food because I don't eat beef or seafood. So you know what? That's okay.
But I don't eat beef or seafood either, David. I don't know if you do that, but it's, yeah.
Well, then you're really missing out on half.
We are on the same page. I don't eat beef or seafood either.
But I can tell you, at Food and Wine, there's still a lot of good stuff there. And
oh my gosh!
But I don't really drink either. So that's,
I'm not a wine drinker. I can't drink wine. But
okay.
I would still, I'd have a beer here and there, but not like wine.
I
but
really
basically,
like beer, but now we're totally tangenting. Okay,
yeah, we're totally tangenting.
So back to the food. So it's an extension of Food and Wine. But here's the thing: does it feature like holiday food?
Yeah, and so that's the cool thing about it. So, like, there's going to be an American holiday table. And by the way, this is going to be running...
I heard there's turkey there, right?
There is, yeah. Yes. And this is going to be running from November 19th to December 30th. And so they're going to have... they're going to have roast turkey, pork tenderloin, and, that's all they kind of really mentioned in this release. So, and then it says Memories of Grandma's Kitchen. So I'm going to assume some other kind of stick-to-your-ribs.
But are they doing things... It's from around the world, so there's not going to be other things from, like, let's say, Norway's Grandma's Kitchen as well, right?
Yeah, it kind of seems that way. There's some details about that. I mean, they're really saying holiday sweets and treats, and I guess at Mexico they're going to have mariachi dancers doing a Feliz Navidad, and they're going to have some Mexican stuff. This
is the trip where I'm trying to talk my parents into buying points for me because everyone wants to go, but again, my parents keep talking about buying their own DVC points, and I keep telling them, like, hey, you should, right? If you're going to continue to go, I think you can make your money back rather quickly. That's just my personal opinion on DVC. That's me.
Oh, yeah.
So, especially if you go during high, cost times, let's say.
Yeah, high traffic times.
Yes. So this is what I was trying to talk them into. So I think I'm going to do this next year. I think I'm on board for this. So my whole game plan would be to be able to... Let's see. So I'll have sold my house by then and have extra money left over before I move into my new house, buy some more points, and then go for this. I have a real big plan here.
I like your big plan here. This is
I want to be around 300 points between you and me. That's where I'd like to be at.
Between you, me, and all the listeners?
All the listeners, yeah. I'd like to be at about 300 points. That would make me feel good.
That would be a good place to be.
With 5 people, that's a good number. Because, again, my thought is eventually my kids will have kids. And then I got to worry about that. So let me get like 300 points. That way,
bring your grandchildren there.
I can go finally stay at the one place I've wanted to stay forever, which is the Treehouse Villas, right?
Oh, man, I've always wanted to do that too, actually. They're expensive, though. They're a lot more points than you think they'd be.
They are. But again, if you're going to bring 12 people, not so bad.
Worth it, yeah. True.
Worth it. So
just to talk about this thing a little bit more, so there is seasonal food there, and there's holiday kitchens all around, and there's live musical productions, there's beverage specialties. I think in the past I've seen things like some spiked hot chocolate and some different things like that. So
I'd be all about this. I'm going to shoot for it. I'm shooting for it.
I think it looks pretty cool. There's also going to be like a little like scavenger hunt type of thing too. The Chippendales Christmas tree spree,
like the Kim Possible one. Or what's the one that's there now? Phineas Ferb, or is that not gone too?
I think that is. Yeah, I think that is. No. It's oh gosh. Someone's going to write in and tell us what it was because we're just blanking on this. But it's I can't remember. I know you know what it is. Phineas and Ferb. You're right. Yeah, that's what it is now. So this is what this one is. It's like you purchase a map.
Agent Peas. Yeah,
Agent Peas. That's what it is. Yeah, and so you purchase a map and you kind of go and look for Chip and Dale, and then you put once you spot them, you put like a sticker where you are on the map, and then you bring the map back to Disney Traders, and they give you a festive surprise, as they say. So
yeah.
So this is a fun thing for kids, I would say.
Yeah. Again, and the food's always good for adults. I got a lot more out of Epcot this time around. There's something to be said about relaxing Epcot versus crazy ride Epcot, right? I don't think Epcot was ever meant for that.
It's so funny. Like 2 trips ago, we like really took our time in the World Showcase. Like really took our time. Usually we kind of blow through it. This time we went into every single shop. We went and did like all of like the Circle Vision 360 videos. Like the one for Canada and like the one for
Canada. Who's that Canadian guy? Oh, he's gone already.
He's gone. Yeah,
it's not fun to make fun of him when he's not even here.
Yeah. Well, now we'll really find out if he listens to the podcast.
That's true.
Because he'll comment later. But so we did all that. We explored the stores. We
did too. And here's the thing: I thought that I did that last time, and I still saw new stuff this time. I was like, nah, I've already explored everywhere, and I'm like, nah, there's a lot more to Epcot than you would think.
Oh, there really is. If you take the time, that Moroccan restaurant. Have you been to that Moroccan restaurant? Kind of back, tucked back in the back of Morocco.
I've passed it a few times. I don't necessarily care for the food that they offer, but I've seen it a few times. Yes.
Well, no one even goes in there. We had lunch there one time, and there was literally 2 other people there.
Yeah,
well, and it was a great atmosphere. The food was good.
Maybe people don't like Moroccan food. I don't know. I don't happen to care for it, so that's all.
I'm a little bit of a picky eater, so the food was limited for me as well. Mm-hmm. But I found something. They had chicken. As long as the place has chicken, we're good.
Yeah, I can't do mushrooms or curry either, though.
Man, Damon, we have this exact same taste, man.
Yeah.
Mushrooms gross me out, and curry's not a thing for me either.
Well, so what did you get? What kind of food did you get then? So what did you
it was
get?
There was a chicken dish that they had there that was really good, and they had there were some side dishes. This was a couple years ago, so I'm not remembering exactly what we ate, but we were also trying to drink around the world at that time too.
Yeah, okay.
So we were a couple countries in, and that was the one we failed miserably. We only made it 4 or 5 countries, and everyone got really sick and didn't feel good. So it was after the shots we took in Norway. The biggest mistake we made is we went to Norway and we asked the Norwegian people that were working at the booth, it's so what kind of alcohol should we get? We're trying to, drink around the world. And I swear to you, they looked at each other and was let's trick these Americans into having the worst thing we have here.
Wait, did you do the couscous with chicken?
Yes, I believe that's what I had, yeah.
Okay, I had to look it up.
Yeah,
I could do that too. I could see that being good. It's funny, now that I actually look at this menu, I probably would like eating there. I just kind of passed it yeah, whatever. But no, it looks like there's some pretty good stuff there.
I believe it's a hidden gem at World Showcase. It's one of those places that, like I said, we had lunch there during, we were there in July. Okay. It's a busy time of year.
Did you have the dessert though?
Oh gosh, what did we have? What are the desserts on the dessert menu? This was years ago, so it might be different.
Crispy
now,
pastry topped with vanilla ice cream and sprinkled with cinnamon, powdered sugar, and toasted almonds.
That sounds like something I ate. Yes. Yes. See, I usually try to save my dessert for they have the croissant donut at the World Showcase, which is delicious, and then also the French bakery is
I've had the croissant donut so many times though. I kind of feel like
yeah. I tear it up in the French bakery though. The French bakery.
See, we always get crepes. That's our go-to.
I also usually will just go into the caramel shop too in Germany too and just smell. I don't even need to eat anything there. I just go and smell in there. So, although sometimes I'll get some stuff there too. But anyway, we're way off topic, but that's okay. This is our last topic, so we can say whatever we want. So
yeah. So that's on my list, my to-do list. I don't know. I want to go 4th of July. I want to go Thanksgiving, Christmas, those sort of things. Halloween, like I said, the Halloween party was not great for me. We'll see what Trevor has to say when he comes back. I just thought
I've seen good reviews of it this year. Honestly, I think they've progressively made it better too.
Could be
because you haven't been in a couple years, right?
Correct. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that is correct. So, it was just so packed. That ruins it a little bit. And again, we made a bad character pitcher call.
You waited.
Bad. Bad call for us.
Seems like that's kind of your fault, though. I mean,
well, first of all, there should never be a 3-hour line for anything, and then they get up and leave right before. So
that's a fair point. No, yeah. I'll give you that. So. But yeah, no, I'll give you that. But I've seen a lot of good reviews of it, so I would think that it's pretty good. I would definitely check it out if I were taking a vacation then. But it's so hard, when you can only go on vacation certain times a year, you really miss out on a lot of that stuff. And
that's true.
I want to go to Food and Wine so badly. I might just do a long weekend trip just to go to Food and Wine.
Well, I think that's also another game plan, right? So if I can get up to, let's say, 300 points, I can all of a sudden get an annual pass, start making long weekend trips. That's the overall game plan. While I like Disney for the week, there's 2 trains of thoughts that are going on in my head. A week's not enough. So if I'm going to do Disney, let's do 2 weeks. And if I'm not going to do 2 weeks, I'd rather break that time up into weekends. So a couple longer weekends rather than 1 week. That's what I started to think in my own head after, I've been there for, 13 years every year. Say 13 years, maybe. I think I've been consistently for 11 years now.
Every single year, you never took a break?
No, I think we had a break in the beginning when we had the kids, when they were just, my first kid was just, so young, but then, we started to go, and then my daughter, we had her as a baby because we had the other boys and we weren't skipping any years. So I think that, those are great trips, but as the kids get a little bit older, those weekend trips are also nice as well.
Well, it's interesting you bring that up because we have a really faithful listener that writes in a lot named Jim. And hey, Jim. But Jim is down. He relocated to Orlando to be closer to Disney. And he was telling me he's a DVC member that lives in Orlando. And it's like, so then what do you do with DVC when you're living in Orlando, right?
Yeah.
And so he was telling me that he does short trips. Like, so he'll kind of resort hop, right? So he'll do like a long weekend trip, he'll book like 2 nights, like a Friday and a Saturday, or like a Thursday and Friday at one resort, and then another month he'll do a couple more nights at a different resort. And I was like, that's a really cool way to use DVC. That's very different.
Yeah, I mean, eventually I'm going to be a Disney bus driver, so when I get down there and do that,
Listen, that's the game plan. Every time my wife and I go to Disney, we by the end of it, we're like, what are we doing? Let's just quit our jobs already and just get some dumb job working at a register here.
Yeah, that would be interesting. Our friends here, their daughter is there on the college plan, so she is at, I want to say, Wilderness Lodge on the cash register now, and they do it as, you can do it in the summer, in between your college years, and there's a few colleges that do this, or right after you get, I think you have up to 6 months until after you graduate to do the same thing. So she's down there on this plan. I think her degree is in like hotel management or something like that. So she's getting that Disney experience while she's down there working and doing all that. That's also very interesting.
What better place to intern if you're a hotel management major, right? I mean,
gosh, yeah. I mean, and then here's the question. So we kind of were talking to her parents. So, well, what if they offer a job? I was like, if someone offered me a job at Disney and I could go back and do it again, I would stay there. I don't know if I'd come back. So she was thinking that maybe she would do her graduate work in Florida because I think that Disney will pay some portion of your graduate work. You mean your graduate money? Yeah.
I've got 2 friends that did the Disney program, and right after college started working there, and I still work there. So
yeah, I think that's what I would have done. I would have been stuck there. The only thing is, though, and while I agree with our listener, it's great to be close. I don't know. I feel like that ruins a little bit of the magic for me by being there all the time.
It makes it a little less special, I guess.
A little less special. Yeah, then I might actually have to go to Disneyland, and who wants to do that? I don't want to do that.
If only Damon were... Damon, oh my gosh. If only Trevor were here to defend himself.
This is great because he can't say anything about it.
He really can't. No. He's not even here, so, I mean, maybe he'll comment later.
So I think that's all we had, though, this time, right?
Yeah. Do you want to wrap this thing up? So because of the hurricane, there weren't a whole lot of rumors going around. The Disney news has been really dominated by hurricane coverage. So
exactly.
We don't have our normal rumor segment, which is really disappointing because we love speculating on stuff.
I love that. That's my favorite part.
That's my favorite too. I'm really kind of sad there's no rumors. So do you want to wrap us up?
well, hopefully some people will send more questions because like Tom said before, we do love questions. So that is welcomehomepodcast@gmail.com. Our website is welcomehomepodcast.com, which is really just has some background information and just gives us a presence on the web. I'm kind of too lazy to keep it always up to date. Anyway, so yes, we love some questions. So let's see. Social media. Facebook.
We love honesty on this show. We let you behind the curtain.
Facebook is probably if you want to deal with us on social media, Facebook's probably the best. And it is at Welcome Home Podcast. You can get us on Twitter. I don't know. I don't ever check Twitter. I don't know if Tom does, so I don't know. So that's at Welcome Home Pod.
All the posts on Twitter are just retweets of the things that are on our Facebook. So
there we go.
Just to be honest.
And on Instagram, it's Welcome Home Pics, which Trevor did say he was going to take some pictures, right?
He did, and he's going to put them on our Instagram. So
I took pictures and put them on Facebook. So
if anybody wants to be a social media intern for us, we could use the help.
That would be wonderful.
Oh man!
So let's see if we could get some reviews on iTunes or any other service that you use to listen to us. That would be great. Again, we can continue to do this longer and more often the more listeners we have. And that being said, should we have anyone that would like to solicit us to be a sponsor, we would love that. So keep that in mind, anyone else listening.
Yeah, if you have a Disney product you want to sell, just let us know. We'll be a part of that. So and don't forget to subscribe to Welcome Home Podcast so you can be reminded every time we release a new episode. That way, as soon as we post one, you'll get a little alert that says Welcome Home has posted a new episode. You can find us on iTunes, Google Play, TuneIn, Stitcher, just about any podcast app that's out there. We are there. And just a reminder to our listeners, as always, that we are for entertainment only. We are not employed by Walt Disney Company, and as such, all opinions expressed on the show are our own. So please consult your DVC representative for more information, especially all the stuff we did when we talked about the listener email.
Oh, yeah.
We probably got so many things wrong. But so consult DVC, please, before, going forward with that. So you can find me on PrinceCharmingVacations.com for your Disney planning needs, and Damon.
You can find me on BSCKids.com, where I'm talking about DuckTales all over the place. So
yeah, lots and lots of DuckTales. When are the next episodes of that come out?
23rd.
Okay, so soon enough.
And Disney just released new pictures today, so we're all excited.
Well, hey, maybe the next episodes will make you happier, right? So
yeah, there we go.
It was just a pilot that just came out. So.
It was just a pilot. So again, I have some good feelings, but we did see Gyro Gear Loose. Oh, now I'm going to just take this. Tom's probably going to cut this out anyway. So we saw Gyro Gear Loose, which was awesome, even though he's totally different than the comics and the show. And we just got a picture of the Beagle Boys and Ma Beagle. So that's always interesting.
Yeah, so that's, it could get a lot better, and maybe you'll.
So stay tuned for our spin-off DuckTales podcast.
One of these days we're going to do some spin-offs.
Yes.
So, anyway, thank you guys for listening to Welcome Home. We really appreciate it. Join us next time for more Disney Parks discussion, more Disney Vacation Club talk. We hope to see you all real soon.
This is Skipper Albert Awol, the voice of the jungle, signing off from Welcome Home Podcast on the DVC.
We do a huddle when we hit a chair. How she can cuddle is no man's affair. I looked around from pole to pole, found her in a sugar bowl.